Oh, good morning, Tartaria, Australia, and autodidactic. Hey, buddy.
Hey, hey, how are we?
Well, this is take two of last week's podcast because we did it and it was
We did.
great. And I think we said some profound things. Then we lost it.
Yes, it may have been my fault. I know I was spewing it. It was actually a really good conversation. So we'll try and remember what we said, but we did have it already, but for technical issues, technical difficulties.
Yes, and then it's been impossible to find the time. So, this is last week's podcast. But first and foremost, we're starting because we always end up chucking this at the back when it should be at the front. But this time, it's putting it right at the front. So, everyone, this Friday is the beginning of our community water fast. Can you believe that? We're doing it. We're doing it, Campbell.
We're doing it. It's here.
Yeah, with 24 awesome community members who have signed up to take on the challenge and the task.
Yep.
And look, I think it's a super courageous and bold move for everyone who's put their hand up. Whether you complete the journey with us or not, it's still amazing that you got to the point of you know, putting your intention, setting your intention on such an idea.
Mm. Yeah, yeah. And the link's below, guys, so you can still sign up. There's still a couple of days left as long as you're up and all signed up by Friday, which is going to be our first introductory webinar, and we're basically going to do like Zooms, webinars twice a day to support everyone and help them and answer any questions. But yeah, if you're thinking about it, just go for it. Like we said, there's no rules that you have to do the entire 8 days. You might just want to do three or four. But if you are, a bit worried about it, just go for it, man. I was worried. I just thought there's no way I'm going to get 5 days, and I did 19. So it's not as bad as you
Yeah.
think. So good clean out for your body, good cleanse, reset, all that kind of stuff. So yeah, go below and sign up.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean it's just a cool idea that like I don't think anyone else has done before to do this as a community experience. So basically and this is all the information. So basically anyone can sign up. There's no limitations to it. It's all by donation, meaning you can put in $0 or $50 or whatever. It doesn't matter. It's all by donation. All that money's going into our kitty to try to start to afford this stadium gig.
A stadium.
It's like yeah, you guys are going to be sick of hearing this in the next 24 months. But anyway, so basically the situation right now is that on Friday night at 5 p.m. Queensland time, which is 6 p.m. New South Wales time, which is 3 p.m.
Right.
Perth time, and I don't even know what other time zones are out there in the rest of the world. It's confusing enough here in Australia.
Mm,
Um, so basically 5 o'clock Queensland time, 6 o'clock New South Wales on Friday is the start. So Friday is will be our first community Zoom meeting, and we will invite everyone to come on board with us, and we'll just talk it through and get everyone psyched and prepared and ease everyone's worries, and also like fully congratulate and affirm your decision to be doing something like this. 8 days is pretty scary for most people, and like there's a few things going on here. One is obviously you're fasting your body, so you're giving your body the very first time, probably for the majority of you ever, of a deep clean out. And the way this works with the body, like as you stop using your digestive system, stop putting food in, it can stop using all of its energy to focus on digesting things and actually start to work through your system. And it does this in a beautiful way. First of all, it will eat through all of your rotting and diseased, tumors, issues, cancers, the things that are poisonous to your body. It will start to clear out those. It'll then start to work on your fat resources. And with that, your emotional traumas that have
yeah,
been stored in your fat.
yeah, yeah.
Um, and um, uh, and I'll have a lot to talk about my experience there. Cam, of course, doesn't have trauma, so he just like whatever. But I have much to share on that. And then after all of that is done and dusted, and we won't get to the end of that with an 8 day fast, but it will be a really good start for everyone. And of course, if you get to 8 days, you might continue on the journey and keep going. In which case, Campbell and I will adapt the course to keep going with you guys as you're going. Like I haven't told him that, but that's the
I'm
plan. If
sitting
you
there
guys
going,
plan to go to
really?
19 days, if you can get to 19 days, we're going to be there right beside you. So the point of the Zoom meetings in the evening is just to basically keep affirming the decision, keep supporting you, keep talking it out. If you have any weird things happening or any worries or stresses, you can talk about it and we can talk it through and just be there on that capacity. I know this time when I fasted, I got quite sick because I had actually done a parasite cleanse beforehand for 3 weeks, and I probably had wiped out my gut biome. And then I was it was actually making me vomit quite a lot, bile, which I've never experienced before. So if I was in that moment by myself, I would have been quite stressed out about it because I'd never had that experience and I didn't know how to respond to it. So if stuff like that happens, then, we're going to be here to help you, through that process and make
Mm.
sure everyone's comfortable and happy.
Yeah, yeah. And all the Zooms will be recorded. We started a WhatsApp group, which you'll all be put into. So, there will be somewhere you can go and talk, at any time. There'll be the replays. So, if you're in America, I guess that means that our morning Zoom is probably going to be your evening. So it'll hopefully work out for everyone. Hopefully it won't be in the middle of the night, but there will be support. Mainly, I've only done one fast, but Kelly's done, what have you done, 10 or something? I think she's gone
I've
40
done a
days.
lot.
So she's the
I've done it
master.
that's right. I'm the
The
mastermind.
master.
Every 2 years since I was about 24. And I'll
Mm,
tell you about my first experience fasting and why it even started and how it's like impacted my system over the last, 2 decades. So we've got lots to talk about and lots of stories to share. And of course, obviously, one of the main focuses is to like start to get on top of parasites and how they're impacting us and if they're impacting you, and just starting to look at a deep dive more on the parasites. Also, we're going to invite some special guests to the evening sessions. So we've already signed up Maggie Palmer to come and talk to you. She was really great when we were doing ours. It's just really nice to have that energy work happening. And so
yep.
she's going to be available to chat maybe a couple of nights during the fast, and you can again go a bit deeper on your concerns. But overall, it's just to basically keep you guys together and knowing that you're on the path as a community. So yeah, so I don't know if the evening and the morning sessions will be utilized or required. I know for myself, getting up and doing a Zoom or any form of meeting at 8 a.m. in the morning is not what I normally want to do when I'm fasting. Predominantly, you just want to sleep as long as possible. Yeah, it makes the day go quicker. So you get to your next day. And B, like you start to go through some detoxing symptoms and, some stuff coming up in your system, which case you might want to rest a bit more. So the morning sessions we're unsure about, and if they're not being utilized, we will just stick with the evenings. But
Yeah.
the evenings, now that's important. And so on Friday night, we're going to set the tone. We're going to talk it all through. Friday is your last meal. Friday is the last meal. So on the
Last
Zoom
supper.
on Friday, the last supper. So on the Friday night, you feel free to eat your dinner with us, your last meal. You can be prepping for this by today if you wanted to. You could start to decrease your sugary intake, decrease your caffeine intake, decrease your, heavy food intake,
Eat
and start to lighten
gluten.
it up if
Yep.
you want. I never do. Campbell and I did it. We were just like, woohoo, our last meal. Like, let's
We had
shift
a,
out, man. What's
we
our
had, yeah, man, we
crazy
were eating
exercise?
chocolate and lollies and all types of stuff, man.
Yeah, all sort of shit we never ever eat anyway. We just decided to splurge. So if you're more of that ilk, then spend the Friday eating everything you think that you're going to like crave during the week. Of course, with our fasting, like on these 8 days, you would probably, and it's up to you, of course, because this is all of your sovereign choosing how you want to like create this experience. But I give up caffeine, I give up tea, I give up everything basically. I go cold turkey on tobacco, marijuana, tea, all of the ailments, all the vices,
I know.
and just plod on through. And by day 3, it's not traumatic. By day 3, honestly, all of those vices are out of your system and your digestive system shut down and you're not hungry and you're not craving things. And yeah, so
No.
but it's up to you. You don't
Yeah.
have to do that.
Yeah, and that was the biggest thing for me is
And you
I
can,
thought I'd be really, really, really hungry, but not at all, man. Like not at all until the third week did I start getting like little hunger pangs. It was so it's not as scary as you want. And also obviously if you're going to do it, if you're in a house, let everyone know, try and create a bit of a space for yourself so that you're not so,
yeah,
in society, not so around food, all this kind of stuff.
yeah,
If you're the cook of the house, try and get out of that for a week, get someone else to do it.
yeah,
But yeah, just try and create a bit of a space where you can, do the fast, focus on yourself, and basically be out of society for the 7 or 8 days, or 19 if you're going to go 19. You can even
yeah.
try and beat us. You can go 21 and beat us if you really want to.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, ultimately, it is the most optimal version is that you're in a retreat space by yourself. That's the most optimal version.
Yeah,
But not everyone has that luxury. Most people don't. So if you are still like the main feeder of the house, if you've got kids you're dealing with, all that stuff that still has to go on around you, then yes, being able to sort of off that to your partner if possible to take care of and just avoiding that just a week of not being around it would help. I mean, but having said that, I have done fasting and still been the main cook and cooked for other people while I've been fasting. But I'm a stubborn bastard like that. So it depends how stubborn you are in your disposition.
mm. And that's
So
one of the big things, man. You got to be stubborn. You just got to have that
yeah,
mindset that you're going for something, and
yep.
whatever comes up, you're just going to be stronger than it, and a stubborn bastard.
Yep. And shut the fuck up, body. Like, this is a time to take sovereignty over your body and to command it. Like, we live in a reality now where our bodies tends to command our reality, but it needs to be
Yeah,
the other way around. So fasting is a part of that process where you're just like, I don't care if you're telling me you're hungry. I don't care if you want this. I don't care if you don't want to do this. I don't care. I'm commanding you. I'm the commander of this vehicle,
yeah,
and we are going to do what I say for the next 8 days. And that sort of disposition is definitely required during the fasting process. So,
yeah, man. Time
Campbell,
to be commander of the ship.
what we're gonna
Cast out those serpents. Sorry.
what we're gonna do. So basically, Campbell will put this up today, which gives everyone another 2 days to sign up. By lunchtime on Friday, I'm going to send out an email to everyone who signed up. So even if you're just thinking about it and unsure, sign up. I'm going to send out an email on Friday at lunchtime. Within that email will be a Zoom link for the evening session, a WhatsApp group to join, and basically a little calendar of schedule of what is going to happen over the next 8 to 9 days. So
Mm.
yeah, so that's happening at lunchtime on Friday. So our first session is Friday evening, and Campbell and I will be there in the Zoom to welcome you into it. So well done, everyone, to our first community water fast. All right, I am pumped.
All
Who
right,
knows
yeah,
what's going to
man.
happen?
Let's do it. Let's clean out all the crap. Get ready, right? It's a good time. There's a lot going on in the world. It's time to sort of, get rid of all the crap. It'll clears your mind as well. That's another thing that happens is you get rid of the mind fog. And we're almost, I was just thinking before, man, we're like 2.5 months until 2025. So it's a good start to, clean yourself out for 2025,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
sign up.
And I would go from the water fast, which is a good detox for a week, into potentially a deeper parasite fast, and then into a heavy metal fast, and then to rebuilding your gut biome. So there's some stages you can choose to enter. But yeah, I mean, as Campbell said, it's a really good time to do it. And obviously, hello, look at what's going on in the realm at the moment, like the weather manipulation,
Oh,
this whole
golly.
taking out of America and Mexico. It's fucked up to the max. We've seen it here in Australia over the
Yeah,
last couple of years.
yeah,
This
yeah,
like these targeted attacks using the weather to clear out areas of resources that the government want and need. It's disastrous and traumatic. And I was just even thinking, Campbell, I mean, I've been quite obsessed watching it. And our heart goes out to all of our American community out there. We are fully conscious and aware. And if there's anything Tartaria Australia can do to support anyone's needs out there, please get in contact. We are standing beside you. We
Yeah,
know what's going on.
let us know, man. I was there in March. I literally drove down the Smoky Mountains from North Carolina to Georgia. So
Mm.
the whole place that is now destroyed, man. So
Yeah.
um yeah, it's just shocking, man. It was such a beautiful place, like lakes up in the mountains, all these little towns everywhere. And unfortunately, they were sitting on top of resources, right? That the system want. And I mean, we can't say too much, but yeah, we're thinking of everyone over there and let us know if there's anything we can do to help support all that kind of stuff. Um, it's
I mean,
fucked up.
it's really, yeah. And it's just like, it's so annoying that we live in this realm where this,
Yeah,
one of the things that we were joking about the last podcast that didn't work was how, we spend all of our time, dissing this whole agenda around transgenderism and pronouns. And yet here in the truth community, we were the beginners of the whole pronoun debacle, because how much do we say they and them?
they them.
Like them, they, like these unknown parasitic entities that make these inhumane decisions to create technology that can control and create weather and point it at certain places and have it land there specifically and use it to remove the population from areas that they have other plans for. They have other plans for.
They them.
Yeah,
Yes, I
they,
mean
them.
it's just evil what's going on. I mean, if you're ever
Yeah.
in doubt about who's in control and what kind of morals and what kind of beings they are, well, I think it's pretty much been laid out on the table, right? They're showing us straight up. I mean, I heard something this morning, with this $750 that people can claim. That I don't know if it's real, but I saw this video that in the small print, if you claim that you then have to pay it back. And if you don't, the government can take your house for $750.
Oh my God.
It's
Yep.
it's just insane what's going out there, what's going on out there. It's
I know. Now, I mean that, but that's sort of happened with
it's
the in Australia as well, and the vaccine with the like payout for that. And I mean, it's interesting with Australia's experience because obviously a couple of years of it, we've had pointed weather events that have knocked out entire areas. And and each time, and we've seen this personally, the army, the SES, the support networks were all blocked from participating or helping in any way. And in fact, they spent their time blocking others from
others.
helping.
Yeah,
Like
exactly.
how fucked is that? Like so inhumane. And I've seen the same thing going on with the states right now. The humanity is being blocked from assisting their neighbors by the very organizations that are meant to protect and support in these disaster moments. In Australia, it's called the SES, the emergency services, but they turned away about 800 volunteers in our area because they didn't have the jab. I mean, crazy.
Just insane. And then what's happened to Lismore, which got hit pretty bad, is all the little businesses, all the mum and dad businesses got wiped out. They didn't have insurance because you can't insure there for flooding. And within a couple of months, all the big multinationals were back up and running, brand new stores, and all the little shops, all the soul, right,
Yeah.
of Lismore was just gone. It's just
Yeah.
gone.
Yeah.
It's really, really
Yeah.
sad. And they're
Yeah.
trying it,
And
same story, right? But they're trying it everywhere.
And it's really interesting because like we're looking at sort of the artificial inversion of the weather, the use of weather as a military weapon. And then we're looking at sort of what we're naturally moving towards from an Earth perspective with a polar shift potentially and the release of gases and plasma from our realms and how that's impacting the weather. And it's all sort of colliding into like a shitstorm, basically. And it took Campbell and I on an interesting journey last conversation on this topic. I'll just
Yes,
reintroduce the topic, Campbell, and we can start from there.
we can. Yeah,
So,
for
one thing,
sure. Sorry, you go. What was that?
Yeah, I mean, one thing we were, yeah, there's a bit of a, by the way, there's a bit of a lag
Okay.
again. So if I'm talking over you, that's why. Campbell and I are very good at not talking over each other, but if it does happen, it's the lag. Um, all right, so the setup. So basically, we were talking about time, and we were having this really interesting conversation about the last, say,
Fine.
4 or 5 years,
Yeah,
and
man.
how Campbell and I, along with thousands and thousands of other people, have engaged our focus in recategorizing, re-coordinating, reorganizing, putting into new timelines, removing dates, removing thousands of years, reinserting things, like rebuilding the timeline. I mean, basically have reorganized, in essence, history.
Mm. Yeah, yeah,
And like that conversation, but yeah, yeah. So you go.
yeah. Yeah, yeah. And we were talking about is, what is the past? Is it retrospective?
Mm,
Because we have this conception that the future, is potential, right? It hasn't been created yet, and we're going into it. But is the past the same? Are we in the middle and we can affect both, right? The past and the future with what we do in the now. And, we kind of seem to have seen this, right, with the Tartarian research. And, the question's been put up many times is where did all this info come from? We started looking into this, and as we got onto different ideas, the evidence would appear. It was really crazy. So, what's going on? Are we creating that? Like, are we literally changing the past as we go
yeah,
forward? Because, like Kelly said, we've restructured our view of history completely. It's completely different to what we thought 10 years ago, and definitely to what we were taught. So, are we changing that? Like, how, is this a Taurus, right? We're in the middle, in the now, and the Taurus is going to the future and the past. Like, are we affecting the whole thing? How does this work?
yeah. I mean, I love that notion because we all saw, if you were in the Tartarian like consciousness early on, like, and you started, and Campbell came to it with the star forts, and then suddenly, like, everywhere he looked there were star forts, and some of us came to it with the sort of the amazing gigantic structures that are our cities, and then everywhere you look there's like suddenly these gigantic city structures, and then the whole thing with the orphans, and then this where of the population, then all this content about orphans came out, and all this content about the Cabbage Patch Babies, and every time we started to ask new questions, it became like we got this surge of input online, like a surge of evidence, photos, like articles, movies, things starting to like pile into those new questions.
Mm.
And then it correlated with this word reset, Campbell. And that's sort of like when it all just like,
That
yeah. So
was
let's talk about that.
that was a
Yes.
crazy time, man. Like that was, gosh, probably 4 years ago, and we were just, it was late 2019, and we were throwing around, resets. Have there been resets in the past? That word suddenly came up, and then within a couple of months, we had old Klaus out there telling us we were in a reset and we were going into one. It was really, really strange that we were talking about these things. Another
Yeah.
one I remember is the red bricks. Like we were like looking at these buildings, and we're like, is everything red brick? Because most of them have got a covering on them, right? A
Mm,
facade. And we're like, what's going on here? Is everything? And then we just started getting all these pictures of, big buildings with the corners knocked off, and it's red brick. And then suddenly we realized everything's red brick. Like, how did this happen? Like, so it's really
yeah.
interesting the way it's gone
Mm-hmm.
along, that we get these ideas, we start looking into it. The our little collective consciousness looking into this all sort of focuses in on something, and then the evidence appears. So the question is,
Yeah. And
where are
that
we
really,
creating that? Yeah.
yes. So, like, there's two places to look for that. Is our consciousness in the reorganizing and recategorizing of history. And like, we've done it now extensively, right? Like, it's just not been like targeted in one area. I mean, it's gone through like maps, and it's gone through books, and it's gone through the art world, and it's gone through the historical narrative, and it's led everyone to the flat earth and to the shape of the globe. So it's gone through the sciences, and it's really just like so. And enough people now have come to that consciousness. I think there'd be very few people within at least within the truth community, or we could even say the anti community, like that would not have now come across and understood Tartaria, right?
Mm.
And understanding Tartaria has led us to, this notion that history is not what we thought it was. Now, so the question is our collective consciousness on that focus focusing our present moment on our past and reshuffling and recategorizing our past, is it then generating the future where new evidence is coming forward to match our new reorganizing of the past? In which case, if that's the case, then everything we looked at in the last 4 years is playing out now in our current moment. So we're living it. So you think about what we actually looked at. We looked at resets. That was big. We looked at the collapse of the Tartarian society and what disaster that was. Was it the mud flood? Was it water? Was it an invasion? Like, what was it that caused this culture, this society to collapse from what we would appear to be beauty and reverence and well-being and thriving and all that stuff, free energy, beautiful buildings, no bathrooms, all that stuff, into this current reality that we've been experiencing since then, which has been shitter and more demonic and more broken and more crap and more anti-life in every way, anti-life. Basically, destroy life in every way, control and destroy.
Yeah.
But we've been living 4 years of this consciousness. And a big part of that consciousness has been a reset, Campbell. So inevitably, have we created it? Are we
Exactly.
now living in what we've created, which is massive?
Mm. And all the stuff, like what's going on in America. I mean, what's the end result going to be is a massive mud flood, right? Like there's going to be buried buildings everywhere. So it's kind of across the board. All these ideas that we were throwing around, they seem to be coming back, right? And we're actually living through them, which is, it's very interesting. I believe everything is energy and that we literally create our reality through what we think. And is that what's going on here? Have we sort of brought this into our present reality because we've been putting all this focus on, resets and mud floods, and now what's going on? We're living through resets and mud floods, right? And destruction and what looks like another fall of civilization, right? That's what's going on at the
Yes.
moment.
At the same time, through Tartaria's studies of the last 4 years, we saw magnificent things emerge. We saw things emerge from that. So from this landscape, suddenly we were privy to thousands of castles all around the world, which we kind of vaguely knew existed, but not to the extent that they are in existence. So these beautiful fairy tales started to emerge into our reality. The giant trees started to emerge. Our mountains turned into giant trees. Our space turned into the ocean. Our realm turned flat. The mythical beasts of our fairy tales and legends and scribbles and doodles on maps became real suddenly and tangible. And like this whole new fantastical realm opened up and emerged with evidence all around us. So that emergence of better times, of higher quality creativity and beauty and harmony emerged,
Mm.
Campbell. So if we're living now in what we created then, those things are also emerging around us, which is what we are looking at as the Great Awakening, right? As the
Exactly.
pole shift, the shift from positive to negative.
Yeah. Are we literally breaking down the false reality that we've been made to believe is real? Because, like Kelly said, 10 years ago, we all thought we were living on a globe spinning through space. Now we know it's flat. We thought that history was one thing. Now we know it's something completely different. All these
Yeah.
like mud floods and resets and blah, 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 cyclical resets too. the whole way that time moves. It's all, been overridden by the new information we've gotten. And as we've done that, our reality seems to be changing. I mean, there's been a lot of changes in the
So
last 4
dramatically.
years, man, so dramatically, right? And then, of course, we have Mandela Effect as well. Is that
Yes,
another
yes.
proof that we are literally changing the past as we go forward with different thoughts and intentions?
Yes, I mean the Mandela effect has been such an interesting paradigm. Like, but how much would it relate to us? I mean, if you think about collectively that there's millions of people focusing on this stuff. I mean, it's like I'm not on TikTok, but I know, and it's interesting with TikTok that it's been like fully poised to be banned from America, but actually so much amazing content gets put onto TikTok,
Yeah.
so much content around these topics that are done really friggin' well via TikTok. So are they banning it to support our health? Never. They would never do that. Are they banning it because it's supporting our health? Yes. That's why they would always do that. So, like, my point is that if we're looking at like millions and millions of people now redefining, reorganizing, recategorizing history, the shape of their realm, the sciences, the maths, the quantums, the agendas, looking at who owns all of this, the following the money, follow all of the scandals and all of the rabbit holes. If we've got millions and millions of people focusing on that for the last couple of years, and when we were in the most of our community, I'd say we're in the way on the front line 20 years ago, where you just were considered crazy.
Way out
Um,
there.
but now we've got literally, and like if we're to believe that energy and consciousness creates the nature of reality, the more energy put onto a topic, the more consciousness will create the reality. And suddenly, literally millions and millions of people have their consciousness and their energy on these topics and are actively doing research. So then, therefore, our past in analyzing our past is now our experience of our present, which is now, so as Campbell and I move through our conversations with our podcast, whatever we talk about is inevitably, if enough people agree, going to end up being our future. And 10
We,
years ago, Campbell, did you have any focus on parasites? Any focus on the on AI taking over, or heavy metals in our bodies, or even like Egypt, like had you seriously put any attention on Egypt and what that truly was and where it came from? These are all like
mm,
so yeah, I mean it's just interesting to see
yeah.
what comes first. Mm.
Man, I mean, we've
And
learned
the
so
Mandela effect.
much. The Mandela Effect, like it's true, man. Like the world, it's a different place. Like, I mean,
Yeah.
it just is. It's a different world we're in. And how does that happen? And we've had all this talk of different timelines and converging timelines, and so people are onto the fact that there's something weird going on with our reality, right? The timelines don't seem linear, which they're not, right? But that's
Yeah,
something we
yeah,
were
yeah.
taught, that history is a line, right? It's not. It seems to be circles, spirals, and things like this. So yeah, it's very interesting. Are we all collectively proving to ourselves that it is our thoughts that create reality? Because that's pretty much what we've seen, right? And
Yep.
I've kind of been harping a bit, recently, like this is why it's so important to not focus on the bad stuff that's going on, to take that on as information, but then to use it to go forward and create something better. Not to get stuck, because if we get stuck in these deep rabbit holes and all the attention and focus is going on, it brings it more real, right? And
Well, it's
when I
interesting,
say that,
yeah.
I don't mean about the information and the knowledge coming out. I mean, we can put ourselves in the position where we're directly affected by this bad stuff, and that's what we don't want to do, right? But we can take that information and go, well, this is happening, and we can bring it to light. But if we hyper focus on product on different subjects, we can literally bring them into our lives. So that's one thing that I've been saying. Like, I think we can know stuff. We can go, yep, this is happening. They're doing whatever. The diddler. All that kind of stuff is going on. Yes, but we don't have to go down that rabbit hole and get emotionally attached to it, because in the end, we can't go in and by ourselves fix that, right? But we can bring it to the attention of the world which will bring it out, which will then cause change. Well, this is the way I see it anyway. I can see Kelly there
Well,
going, oh, I don't know about
no. I mean, I
that.
don't totally agree, but it's interesting, isn't it? Because when you delve into history, like we have, you're kind of impartial to it. It's not. I mean, by the notion of the word history, it's already in your past. That's the power of fucking words. You know, like we say the word history, and automatically everyone assumes that's part of your past. You don't have to worry about that. Like you can go and examine it, look at it. Like yes, there's this massive disaster, cyclic disasters that have apocalypsed the earth and all the humans, but you're not emotionally involved in it because it's history. It's got the word history attached. But when we look at, and the Mandela effect in the middle of this is fascinating. I would say it is an absolute correlation with the Mandela effect as we started to rearrange, reorganize, recoordinate, recategorize history as a global collective. As we started to do that, the Mandela effect, it was like started to become more and more and more and more and more because it appears that the consciousness that was freely roaming, and for most people it was just the funnest thing ever, so people were in like glee. As we said in our very first show, Tartaria was fantastic because you could physically interact with it. You could go and see it. You could go to the cities. You could be amazed at seeing the buildings for the first time through these lenses. You could touch it. You could punch it. You could lick it if you wanted. Like it was tangible. Whereas so many of what we talk about in the truth community is lofty and abstract, and you can't get it's pronouns, it's theys, it's thems. It's like there's nothing tangible to it. But Tartaria became tangible. And as that became tangible, it became a very fun, gleeful ride for so many people as they're just amazed at how the world could reorganize itself and re-emerge through these lenses, just like you see on the movies like Inception, where the world is or the one where they change the cityscape at night.
Dark City.
Dark something. I can't remember the
Dark City.
yeah, Dark City. Like that's what Tartaria felt like to me, and I think many. And because it stayed in that light, crazy, joyful, can't believe this energy. Like our response to it triggered, in essence, what we would call the Mandala effect, because it literally set up a completely uncontrolled, like the theys thems didn't control it, couldn't stop it from happening. It was a natural thing. And then we started to see the correlation. So as we started to look at, say, the reset and the missing population, and then the reintroduction of orphans at the same time, in our current reality, suddenly everyone's focus is on the missing children, the human trafficking, the tunnels under the
Good
world.
point.
Like
Yeah,
they
yeah, yeah.
correlated.
Yeah, totally.
So what we were examining, Tartaria, re-emerged in our current reality. And there's so many examples like that.
Yeah, so it begs the question, does time even exist?
No, it can't.
And this is the thing, like what it's looking like is, like I said before, we always see the future as just potential, right? It hasn't happened. Maybe we need to look at the past like that. Maybe the past is potential. It hasn't happened. We're creating it as we go forward because all there is now. We've been told this time
Very
doesn't
smart.
exist. All there is
Very
now.
smart. Yep. So super smart. That's right. So if we take language out of it and take these big stucky words like history out of the mix and know that as we examine the past, it's just pure potential. I mean, that's a massive mind shift. It's pure potential. So as we collectively all agree on a new version of the past, it's pure potential. It has to then become our
We
current
can create it.
reality into our future, which is the basis of, say, all the modalities like holographic kinetics, where they look
Yeah.
into the, not to deal with the trauma in the current moment, they go back into the past of the trauma through all timelines, who ever existed, nail the original trauma, remove it, clear it, heal it, and then all time forward future changes as a result, as if it never had occurred in the first place. That's not a linear timeline. That's pure potential in all directions.
Totally, man, because you think about it, if you have some trauma and it gets, released, how does that change your whole perception? It doesn't make a lot of sense when you think about it. But if you think, well, it goes back to the day dot, right? And changes it when it happens. So it never happened. So you've literally then lived your whole life again up to this point without it. That would change you instantly, right? That would make you a different person. So it looks like that's what's happening. It's not like we're removing, excuse me, It's not like we're removing something from the now and that somehow affects everything. It's like we're literally going back in time, if time exists, right? Changing that belief system. And then that means that you've then lived your whole life up until now without that belief system. So you are a different person.
Yep. And it comes down to removing language. That is truly, it's words that bind us. If you think of reality as anything tangible, the building blocks are
Mm,
words. That's why everyone
yeah.
goes on about spells, words being smells, words being powerful.
Yeah.
And
Spells, man.
which led Campbell and I to the concept of what is your word? And
What's
we're going
the
to be going through this
word?
with the water fasting community.
Yes.
What's your word? And that's about having an updated living moral code, because your word should be taken as your commitment, your promise, your truth. If you give your word to someone, it holds weight. And that's been lost so dramatically
Yeah.
because of religion, because everyone's just given over their moral code to some quasi lofty abstract religious code they've mildly lived their lives by but have never truly decided on,
Yep.
ever.
Yep.
And we'll get back into that.
Or
Yep. You have anything
science
to
or the
say?
news, any of this stuff. But yeah, that's what we're talking about is people used to have a word. People used to live by their word. Handshakes used to mean something. They don't anymore because now, religion, science, the news, they're all definites. They tell you what to think. They're not asking questions or leaving it up to you or anything that they're telling you. They're defining things. So words are spells, especially words like past, present, and future, because that puts
And
things
time.
in a
Yep.
certain place in our mind. And we think these things
Categorizes.
are behind us, these things are now, these things haven't happened yet, but
Yep.
it's all one. And the thing is, like with manifesting, right? Everyone thinks it's about bringing stuff towards them, where the truth is everything's actually already inside you. So it's reversed again. Manifesting is about bringing stuff out of you so you can experience it in the outside
Yep.
world. Mm.
Brilliant. Yeah, absolutely. So if we look at removing the building blocks of our reality, which is words, defining things, definitions, definites, definition and
Just yeah,
definites,
definite.
as
Yeah.
Campbell said. Yeah, like, and you remove those building blocks. Suddenly, what is our process with organizing and recategorizing our past? And removing the word past, we're going to see that our current reality now and our tomorrow reality, our future reality is just basically one and the same thing. And it's uncontrolled. It's
Mm.
uncontrollable, because once you turn from the mechanisms in our reality that do put in that definite words, those definite languages, like that's why we see those hilarious clips on the news where like 100 newsreaders are just repeating the
Yeah.
same script.
Same. Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
just the
Yeah.
same script. It's all words, right? It's just a definite, it's all word. They're just like repeating, 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 repeating. With Tartaria, we naturally and organically, without any leadership or direction or coveted process, started to remove the language and remove the words. And we started to bring in new language. Like how many new, like Tartaria, who had heard of that 10 years ago?
Yeah.
Um, the names for
Resets.
mudflood, no one, star forts,
Yep.
resets,
Starport. Yep. Star cities. Like like the illusion. What's it called? Like reality is an illusion. This whole concept of us living actually in a matrix and looking into that is a pretty new concept as well, right?
Yep, absolutely. So, I mean, and it's been a delightful ride. So, the ultimate like reality that we're living now is the reality that we've just recategorized and
Mm.
re languaged and
Yeah.
reconfirmed, and like, and so it's inevitable.
Yeah.
Basically, you guys, we've written our present moment. It's inevitable. What
Yeah.
we are going to go through is essentially what we have just recategorized and reordered and re-inputted into our reality,
Yeah.
which will
Yeah.
be a reset.
Totally. Well, we are. We're resetting our thought process. Our version of reality, and as we reset it in the present, it seems to be changing the past and the future, right? We're definitely going into a different future than we thought we would be in 2019. All this stuff, and we've been told this is the apocalypse, right? Which is the unveiling, which definitely seems to be happening, right? We're starting to see all
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
these government agencies
Mm-hmm.
and things for what they really are. So yeah, I
Yep.
mean, what is time, right? Are we literally? I mean, this is how I'm seeing it now. Is we're the point of thought, and it's just expanding out both ways, right? So all there is now, and we get to change the future, right? And I mean, October as well is all year. I've been hearing October. It's October 24. October, like
Mm.
stuff's going to happen, and I mean, look what's happened just in the last couple of weeks. This whole expose, shall we say, of the diddler and all his friends. And then we've got all this stuff going on in America. We've got stuff going on in the Middle
I
East.
mean,
It's just absolutely going crazy
I
at the
mean,
moment.
everywhere.
Everywhere, man.
Everywhere's parallel
And
because we're looking at the falling stars, the false idols, the falling stars, and all the way through Tartaria, it all wraps into these beings that came down to the earth. Is like this fallen these the giants, the fallen angels, the Nephilim. It's all wrapped up into what we've looked at in the last couple of years. Now we're literally seeing the false idols, the falling stars, the stars falling. Like
yeah.
it's playing out exactly like that.
Mm,
Yep.
yeah,
And there's just countless parallels. There's
it's
countless.
a good one because all the reset stories, well, not all of them, but a lot of them, they talk about the stars falling. Like they're talking about, or we think they are the stars up there, right? And yeah, what are we seeing? We're literally seeing the stars that have been put up there for us falling, right? So it's
Yep.
it's a
Yep. Yep.
very interesting time, but it's
Yeah.
empowering, right? It shows us that we literally can and are affecting our reality.
And it's unstoppable. Because once you go through this process, it's not like anyone's going to be able to, I mean, I can't even imagine anyone's going to ever be able to convince me that drinking fluorinated water is something that I want to do. Or eating genetically modified food is something I want to do, or watching television news is something that I'm ever going to want to. Like I can't, once you've sort of like seen through it and chosen a different version of reality, which we all have, there's no way anyone can convince me otherwise. Like
It's
I can expand on what I've understood, but I could never go backwards. Never.
no. I agree, man. What do they say? Once you see it, you can't deny it. But I mean, I've actually been staying with my parents for a couple of weeks. And my parents are
Yeah, that's
news
right.
watchers, man. Holy dooly. I literally haven't seen the news in, like, it's got to be decades. I haven't watched TV in, like, even seen it in last at least a decade. And my parents have the TV on 24/7. Like, even when there's no one watching it, it's on and it's set to the news channel. And then they have radios wherever they
Great.
are with the news going. And I walk out and it's just like, oh man. And the news now, like it's not like when I last saw it, like 20 years ago, at least they were kind of, it sounded like they were telling facts, like telling a story. That now they're just telling you what to believe. It's insane. You should watch. I mean, actually, don't watch it. But if you've seen it, you might know what I'm talking about. Like they tell you a story in 5 minutes, and then the next half an hour is telling you why you should believe what they're telling you to believe. It's insane, man. And some of the reaction, like some of the stuff I've heard, I'm just appalled, like seriously appalled. This whole stuff going on in the Middle East, and people may have heard of, the I country putting bombs in all these, terrorism's pages.
Yeah, you told me
And then,
this.
then they
Yeah, that's
blew,
just awful. I can't
yeah,
believe it.
then they blew up all these people.
What?
And everyone in the West were told, yes, this is awesome. Look, we're killing terrorisms and all this stuff. And, they were cheering it, man. They're like, yeah, we got him, we got him. And I mean, first away, I'm like, well, that's like unaliving people. That's not good. But then when you look into it, you realize that over 200 other people were unalived in that event, including women and children, because it's not like they track these people and they're like, okay, they're alone in their home, let's do it now. They were doing it when they were out in society, man, when they were shopping. So they're standing there,
I
bombs are going off, and if there's a kid standing next to them, bad luck, kid, you just got unalived as well. And people were literally cheering this, like getting that, that stupid
Yes.
look that you see, like when they don't, and they're like, "Yay, terrorisms are being defeated." I mean, this is how far we've come. They've got people cheering for unaliving people. It's crazy, man. I just
But
don't.
then, but then, yeah, I mean, but then at the same time, there's this, like millions and millions of us that would find that repulsive and unbelievable, and put it down to the they thems that we don't even believe to be human.
No,
So, like,
they're not us.
it's inhumane. War and their process. I mean, war is just such a they them. It's a they them. It's they them action.
It is,
Um,
man. It's totally. I
yeah,
hate it every time I hear people say, "Oh, humans are such aggressive little animals.
no,
Oh, humans are so warlike." No,
no,
what an
no,
absolute crock of crap. Has anyone ever met anyone who wanted to go and start a war? I mean,
no,
I haven't.
no,
It's
no,
clearly
no.
not us. This is us being manipulated by the they thems,
Fuck yeah.
the Rainbow Army,
Yeah.
to go
Fuck
and
yeah.
do their bidding. Their kids and
Yeah,
families never go
and
to war.
religion and the
And
religion
religion.
army, the religious. So religion's an interesting one because through the Tartaria process, like a few people have fallen to Christianity, sadly, which still pisses me off. But for the most part, like you've seen that. Although Tartarian Christianity have all sort of been morphed and warped in, haven't they? But we've
Well,
seen no evidence of religion through the Tartarian studies.
no,
There's
we
no
don't.
evidence of religion
No, it's a
at
good point.
all.
No, no, unless you
Yeah,
think that these buildings were religious, which we've proved
which they
much beyond
weren't.
a doubt that they weren't. We do have this tie that's been talked about of the Millennial Reign. A lot of sort of Christians have jumped on, oh, well, Tartaria must have just been the Millennial Reign. It must have been Jesus. That's why things were so good. But again, that's a theory. We don't have any proof of that. And that to me is a depowering thought. I think it's more empowering to think it was us. Look at our potential. Look at what we can do. And if we look at that from the perspective of time that we've been talking about, that history is retroactive, and whatever we focus on, we actually bring into the present.
Retroactive. I like that word. Retroactive. That's a good
Retroactive.
word.
Yeah,
Yep.
man. So if we can see that and think that's us, we've done it before, we can do it again. We can bring that into our current experience. But if
Well,
we
we're already
believe
doing
it's
that.
someone else, we didn't have any say over it. It was Jesus and the saints and that. Well, that kind of leaves us in a very depowered place. And where does it put us? Where we are now with religion again, telling people how to live their lives.
And people buying into it. I mean, at the end of the day, religion is just words. It's just another word. It's
Yeah,
just another word. No one on this realm has ever, ever, ever met Jesus Christ superstar ever. It's just a fucking word,
yeah.
right? It's a word, and that's
And
why they require faith.
his name wasn't even Jesus. His name
Yeah,
was Joshua.
that's right.
Like
And
so,
he was probably, anyway,
if
but
he
either
if he
way, it's just a
existed, yeah,
fucking
yeah,
word. It's
yeah,
just
it
a
is.
word, as
And
in everything in religion is just a word.
we're back to that word. Like the
Hmm.
Bible literally starts. In the beginning was the word, and
Yeah.
this is what we've lost. Our word. Our word
Yeah.
doesn't mean anything
They've
anymore
stolen
because
our word.
it's been so
It does
manipulated,
not.
right? That the meanings, and goes back to the all words are spells, right? But this is how they're manipulating our perception. Is they're changing the word, right? And when we believe a
Yep.
word
Yep.
means a certain thing,
100%.
then we manifest that, right?
I mean, like on that topic specifically, our moral codes should be living documents. This is what, and we'll do a whole show on this because it's important because most of us, honestly, especially in the Western world, we've got this like phasey Christian code that we'll get kind of given as kids and going through school, which are good, fine things like be kind to people and love people and look after your neighbor and don't steal and cheat and all those things and don't murder. And they're all good. But there, you need to, as a human being, actually write a moral code that's alive and that's yours and that gives you, and it's so important right now. I really feel this because, like, if you think about the people in America or Mexico right now who are living through this massive targeted weather event, right? And they're in chaos. So there's thousands of bodies everywhere. There's no power, there's no supplies. Everyone's pretty messed up in that way. And they suddenly have to make a million decisions, like really quickly. Like if you're in that situation, which we probably all will experience roundabouts, because we've already denoted that we're going to go through a massive Earth event that brings on a reset, that brings out the new civilization. We've already decided that retroly via our study of history. So it must come about. So in that situation, if you've got this tiny stash of food, you've got your family, and then you've got neighbors who also need food. Are you going to make a decision to share with that neighbor to that may be detrimental to what resources you have? Are you going to step in and try to rescue someone when it could put your family in danger? Like, there are literally a million moral decisions you have to make in the years to come, and you got to make them quickly and powerfully. And to do that, you need to have a living document that is your personal moral code and how you're going to conduct yourself. It will, and you know what happens when you have this sort of document? Your word gains power.
Yeah.
Your word
Yeah.
becomes powerful again, and you know what that does to you? It makes you a fucking leader. That's what it does. And that's
Totally.
why our words have been stolen so fucking insanely.
Yeah, no one has their moral code anymore. If
No,
they do have one, it's been given to them, by the church or by whatever. And that if it's not
exactly.
yours, it doesn't mean anything.
Yep.
So yeah, like Kelly said, we're going to be covering this. But guys, if you're out there, then just start jotting down some ideas. What is your moral code? How do you live? What are your
Yep.
boundaries? When put in certain situations, how will you react? Because this is what a moral code does. It gives you, a way to act. It tells you who you are. And so when you're in a certain situation, you don't have to think. You know who you are, and you are going to act as your word, right? But when you don't know what you stand for, then you've got all these decisions. What do I do? What do I do? And of
Yep.
course, if you don't stand if you don't stand for something, you'll fall for anything. But we
Yep.
see it so often that all these, Christians and other
Yep.
religions, no doubt, that they proclaim to be Christians, but then when put in certain situations, they don't follow the code, the rules that they've been given. There's no word or there's no backbone in them because it's not their moral code. That's the problem.
Yep. Religion stole the word.
In the
Like back
beginning
in
was
the
the
Ramtha
word,
days,
and then came
in the
religion
beginning
to
is the
steal
word.
it.
That's right. In the beginning was the word, and the word has been hijacked by
Yeah,
they and them, and it's formed institutions, organizations, laws, regulations, and religion. And it's their words that we are forced in some way to live by. But when I was in my Ramtha days, Ramtha would finish every drink of water, every single speech, everything he said, it was always be, so be it. That was the
so be
word.
it.
What I command shall be, so be it. It was so powerful. My word, what I command shall be, so be it. And there's so much power to that. And we have such a
That's a big
weak
one.
version of our word now because we've never really sat here and really truly like made decisions. Like part of my moral code is that I will not vote in this
Yes.
system. That's part
Yep.
of my moral code. I will not vote in this system. I'll pay the ferryman, but I will not vote because I will not add my voice or my signature or my name to a system that I find appalling. I will
Yeah.
not vote. I
I'm
will not support war no matter what.
100% the same. I
I
haven't
will not
voted in.
fight in a war.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And this is a good way to start. What will you put up with, and what won't you put up with? What is something that you will never support? Because it seems like a natural thing. I don't support war, but I mean, seriously, guys, go out there in community. A lot of people do. Like, look what's going on in the Middle East at the moment. People are like, "Yay, war!"
Yep.
It's insane. And when you think about it, what is war? War is people being manipulated to go and kill other people who don't deserve it.
Yep.
it
Yep. And then
it's
glorified.
and glorified.
Yep.
This is where
I
the
know.
heroes come from, right? War
Mm-hmm.
heroes.
Mm-hmm.
What the hell? there's no war
Yeah.
hero. There's just some poor dude who's been
Yep.
manipulated into a can't
Into a
even say
murderer.
that word. And yeah.
Yeah, into a paid assassin. Like
Yeah.
that's how I feel about the Anzacs. They were
Yeah.
literally paid murderers. They were
Yeah.
sent to murder. All soldiers have genocided other people. They're murderers. Like
Yeah.
say it as it is. Soldiers are murderers. UN peace workers are murderers. Just say the truth, you
Yeah.
know? Don't
FEMA,
glorify
you're out
that
there in
shit.
FEMA doing what you're doing in America
Yep.
at the moment, you're in the same category.
Yep, absolutely. 100%. You know, a part of my living moral code is that I will, to the best of my ability, cause no harm to animals, including the micro world of insect and bugs. To the best of my ability, I will take the time and effort to remove that ant from the shower. I will, to the best of my ability, I will stop if an animal's in trouble or harm. I will stop any trauma being in my, if something comes in my path and someone's hurting an animal, I will stand up. That's part of my moral code. And you know, is it like meaningful that I would care about not killing a bug, that I'll literally take it outside? Is that meaningful? To my moral code, it absolutely is, because my word is in support of the animal kingdom, and that's a non-negotiable. And
Mm.
when I do harm an animal or an insect, mainly an insect, and when I harm an insect, like I take a moment to like I take a moment on that thing that just happened. I don't just like step on a cockroach and then that's that. I'll actually have a moment with that experience that I've just had with that cockroach. And it's the same with, you know, the meat eating and that whole process there. So there's like, anyway, that's just part of a living document for me that can be updated and upgraded and changed and shifted. Like we recatalyze history, our
Yeah,
moral code can emerge and evolve,
yeah,
but
yeah.
you need one.
It's definitely got to be an evolving thing that gets reviewed because we're learning so much so quickly, right? Like the moral code that we would have written, 5 years ago would be completely different to what we're going to do today, right? Just because we've learned so much more. So yeah, get writing, guys. But we're going to definitely cover this because it's apart from being something that lets us know who we are and how we should act, and it makes us
Yep.
strong and it makes us leaders, makes us reliable. It also
Yep.
completely affects what we interact with, right? What we're manifesting as far as the past, the present, and the future. Because we're now determined rather than living our lives being told from outside sources who we are and what we should believe in, we've taken control of the reins and we're like, no, this is what I am. This is who I believe I am. This is what I believe. And this is how I'm going to act. And no one's going to sway me. And isn't that the traits of all these people that are put up as the great wise people, the great changes of
Mm,
history?
mm.
They all had impeccable moral codes. That's why
Mm-hmm.
they stood up because there was a
Mm-hmm.
line that they went, nah, no more.
100%. And that is why we love watching things like Lord of the Rings or Rings of Power, because there's so many demonstrations of moral codes of various different groups and cultures having moral codes and making choices with a very strong moral code. That's why we like those. And that's why Lord of the Rings or Rings of Power, for example, which is full of war and fucking death and destruction, like it's just constantly fighting and war. But
Mm.
at the same time, you can see these complexions of how the moral codes are brought into play. Very different from watching an action flick. You know, like how many movies have you watched your lifetime where there's zero moral code? There's
Oh
just
my
no moral
God.
code. They're just shooting up, ramming any whatever's going on. There's no morality to it.
It's
And it's
totally. So I was just going to say, I saw a movie, I think it was a Sylvester Stallone one. I can't remember, but he made like a couple of movies and he got all the old action heroes into one movie.
yes, yep.
And I was watching this one, there was this one scene, and they were in like a harbor, and they went in and they just started blowing everything up, shooting
Yeah.
everyone, like they're just
Yeah.
unaliving people left, right, and center.
Yeah.
They've taken the whole thing out, and then one of their guys gets shot, not unalive, but just shot. And suddenly it's the biggest thing in the world. Oh my God,
Yeah.
he's been hurt. Oh, we've got to look. Oh, let's turn around and make sure we
I
wipe
know.
the rest of those people out there. And there's no moral code there at all, man.
Nothing,
But it's
nothing,
put up
nothing,
as
nothing.
this is being a man. This is what a
Yeah.
tough man is. Look at these action heroes out there, just destroying people's lives and unaliving them. People they don't know, they don't have any beef with. this is what we're told is
Yeah.
a man, right? So
And same in all the video games. There's no moral
yeah,
code to the video games. Basically, the idea of a moral code has been removed from you. Basically,
totally,
it's been deleted. You know,
totally.
your word has been deleted. The importance of your word deleted. You know,
Yeah,
the destruction of the family unit, like removing the elders, like drugging them, putting the nursing homes. This is all designed to just remove your word. Because at the end of the day, what's the quabble been all about? It's been how powerful is the human being and their consciousness that all of this reality is just like comes back to this. It just all comes back. So and just on the topic, I just wanted to finish on the topic of looking at the last couple of years and what we as a collective consciousness has really, without being forced and delightfully, because it's been fascinating and inspiredly gone through. One of those big ones is obviously the reptilian agenda. So that means inevitably reptilians are going to emerge. Inevitably, we will see disclosure on the reptilians because we've been focusing on that for eons of time. So inevitably, I feel that the reptilian thing will, and I think there's going to be a whole like underground civilization disclosure.
that
And
yeah.
yep,
I've been seeing a lot of stuff pop up on that recently, which is
yep,
interesting because we've been talking about it, and suddenly it's popping into my reality, right? Who would have
yep,
thunk it?
yep,
But it's
yep,
true, man. All these old stories and all this, reptilian stuff and underground civilizations. It's all popping out that this world that we were told is completely fake,
yep,
right? And this is how they do it, right? You can't go in and change the perception of someone who has a moral code, who knows who they are and what they stand for. First, they have to take away the word, right? They have to diminish all that so that no one knows what they stand for, and then they put in their moral code on top, which is the opposite to what we should be doing. It's things like to support your country and be a true patriot, go out and murder people.
I know. I mean, no one in
That's
authority,
what they
no one in uniform, no one in authority has any reverence from me whatsoever.
no.
I have no sense of them being moral guardians. I have no sense of them being good human beings. I have no sense of their intellect. I have no sense of their wisdom. I simply would have zero reverence for I would put them lower than most,
Of
those in
course.
uniforms. So like once again, my word has overridden their word by far. And most of the people in the truth community would say exactly the same. Their individual words are way more powerful than authority right now. So yeah, I mean, what else from our look at history and recategorizing is now playing out in our reality, Campbell? Like, how about the whole look at the Mount Meru and the middle of the earth and the true North Pole and what's like taking place now within our weather systems and the flip from gravity to magnetism. I mean, and like that was a big flip in understanding, you
Mm.
know. So I mean the flip from dinosaurs to dragons, the flip from nuclear bombs not existing, nuclear energy not existing,
Yeah,
like the flip from Germany and the
yeah.
Holocaust,
What went on? Yeah,
what really went on, like all of these constructs that they have created around us have broken apart. So they've got no control. Like we're out of control. So when we talked about being the freest people at the bottom of the pyramid, literally we are like out of control right
and
now.
that's
We,
interesting, isn't it? Like out of control. Why are we out of control? Because we're not controlling ourselves. Because we don't have a moral code or a word to give us those boundaries. So we're just literally going
but
down
we're out
the
of their
stream.
control.
Yeah, we're under their control.
But no, we're out of their control. I'm saying our community's out of their
Okay,
control
yes,
because
yes.
we've dropped any reverence for anything they've ever said about anything
We have,
ever.
yeah, yeah, at this point for sure, man. Like, yeah, yeah. So we're now redefining, the reality that we want rather than being told it's a static thing. It is this way. This is what you believe, blah, blah, blah. We're questioning it, right? We're like,
Which
well,
is,
really? Prove it,
yep,
because all they seem to prove is that we're right, right? Like they just prove themselves to be these despicable
yeah.
beings, man. That's all that we get these days, which proves us more correct. And I mean, I like the
So
so
are
be it,
we
man.
making them more despicable? Are we the ones that are turning them even
Well,
grosser and even more outwardly disgustingly demonic and more blood hungry and more desperate and more unmoral? Like we're the
I
ones generating that because we've decided
yeah,
that's what you are. Show
I think
yourself.
that we're more exposing them, we're seeing them.
Yeah,
Like I think it's always been there, but it just hasn't been in our face. So this is to me what the apocalypse
we've
is the veil
magnified it.
lifting, is we're seeing what's always been going on. It's always been there, but now it's in our face,
And
right?
that's because of us.
That's because
And
of
what I'm
us,
saying,
because we're
we've
us.
done that.
Yeah. We're like asking, are these people really evil? Are they doing this stuff to kids? Are they
Yeah.
tunnels? Blah, blah, blah. And we're getting the proof. Yes, yes, they are. But there's other people around who are sitting in front of the telly who don't see that because
Yeah.
they've still been given the word from someone else.
I don't know many of those people anymore. I guess
I,
they,
I,
again, they would be
and
the older
they then,
generation.
yeah,
The
well,
older
this is
generation.
like my parents, man. I haven't been around this energy, this information for decades. Like literally, like all of us, right? We've put a concerted effort into not being around it. And one thing that's been happening is I've been tired. I don't. It's like draining, literally sucking my energy to the point where I'm tired getting through the day, and I'm having to have like an afternoon nap and stuff. It's
He's because he's becoming a retiree,
I'm,
living with his
I'm,
parents.
I'm moving into the old people's energy there.
Yeah, it's all very
But
comfortable, the hot water, the lack of fresh air, the nice double bed, the
yeah,
clean rooms, the mum cooking, the
uh,
like gentle drone of the news going on 24/7. Like it
gentle
puts you into
dry.
retirement. It
It is.
retires you, Campbell. You're gonna have to get out of there soon.
I got to get out, man. I've got to.
Got to
What's the
get
opposite
back to
to
Mulaney.
retire? You're already retiring. Untire. I need to
Yep.
untire.
I mean, it's interesting the word tire is in the actual word.
Tire. Right? You work 40 years, you get tired every week, and then at the end you get to retire.
Yep,
Awesome.
permanently.
Permanently.
Out to pasture or into the drugs. So not even the fun drugs. So it's like because I guess the purpose of what we want to really say today is that all of your work studying Tartaria in the last 4 years has literally changed everything in our reality now, beyond a shadow of a doubt. And the beautiful way that reality works, and this is an Abraham Hicks, is that she would say, for every contrasting expression that you've rendezvoused with, you would send a new rocket of desire. So this is more energetically how I think true time is. I don't like this. Get rid of the linear time with its words and just put it into true time. For me, when I come up, so when we've deep dived in all these topics and we've come up against the lies, for example, how many lies that that there is a they to start with. There is a they that's come in and there's a parasitic energy and there's a lot of lies and deception. Instantly, I shoot off in me a rocket of desire born from that contrast. And that rocket of desire is saying, no more fucking lies. I want all the lies gone. I want to live in a world where there's truth and there's accountability and authenticity and transparency. I want a reality without the deception. And millions of us have by default shot off those rockets of desire via the contrast. So just by delving into history and recategorizing at the same time, we've shot off all these new rockets of desire, which are now aligning to create this new positively charged world experience on this earth. And we've done it without even, and we do it all the time. We do it
Yeah.
all the fucking time. When we come across harm to children, everyone is just like, fuck that. I want a world where all children are safe and sound. I don't want to have to eat animals like we do right now. I don't want that anymore. I want a new version of that. I don't want to have to kill something so beautiful for food. I want a new version, a rocket of desire. I don't want to have authority over me, rocket of desire. I don't want to live in a system where there's a king or a queen or a prime minister or a president, rockets of desire. I don't want to have a legal system like this anymore, rockets of desires. I don't want to have to drive and get fined or to pay fees or get taxed or all the other shit that goes on just to drive on a road. Fuck that. I don't want any of that rocket of desire. And we've all collectively done it
Yeah.
without any coordination, without any leadership, without any plan. And bang, we're now living in the reset to bring that to to manifestation. It's
Mm.
happening.
Yeah, yeah,
We have torn our world apart. We
yeah,
have torn this world apart. Know that.
yeah. I totally agree, man. We brought it all about, and that's a good way. You know, if you are writing your moral code down, which we implore you all to do, you can start with what don't you want? What will you not put up with? It doesn't have to always be I am this, I am that. It's like, well, I will not put up with this, so that makes me this, right? So this is the thing, we can work out where we want to go by understanding where we don't want to go.
Yep. And know that every time you make a decision like that, you're actively tearing this current reality apart. Just know that. So when
Yep.
all this shit goes down in the next couple of years, it's our fault. We're the ones that have torn it apart because we have desired energetically something completely different, and we've all done it, and it's all gone into the grid, and it's all reshaping our realm. We have brought this to pass.
Yeah.
Our word, our desires, our choices have brought this to pass. So never feel victim to this, because we are the ones that have torn it apart, because we have seen a different world we want to live in, and that's just how it has to happen. There's no way of skipping through that. That's why they control our reality so much, in order to
Exactly.
bring about the exact reality they want. We've fucked all that up. We've literally
Exactly.
fucked all that up. And we are the ones that have torn this all apart. We're bringing about the reset. We're bringing about the apocalypse. We're bringing about the fall of the celebrities. It's all on us.
Yeah, totally, 100%. That's why they have education, the news, the music, all this stuff. It's to show us their version of reality, to hold it static to what they want. But when we start going, no, F you, we want this, we start changing it. And then this is exactly what we're seeing. And unfortunately, to get something new, you need to walk away from the old thing, right? It needs to break down. And that's literally what we're seeing at the moment. So, it's all your fault, guys. You did this.
So when you hear these lofty abstract teachings about creating your reality, just know that you've already created a big chunk of your current reality, and it's been added to by everyone else who agrees with you. And like there's literally millions and millions of us. So when we look at this new world, this earth split, this new dimension, when we look at this shift in our reality, we've already collectively agreed on what that's going to look like. We all know, so we all know that nature's going to be regenerated, and we're going to be back in it. We all know that our food source is going to no longer have poison in it, and that's going to stop, and we're going to eat well again. We know that like the pharmaceutical industry is going to collapse and be replaced by correct and accurate healing. We know that we know that our superpowers are going to come online. We know that energy is going to come through us. We know that we're going to grow as intelligent, co-creative, well-resourced individuals. We know that we're going to get more powerful. I know that. You know that. We are going to get more powerful. We
Mm,
know this. We know that the money system is no longer going to be what it has been utilized so far as a tool of enslavement. That's going to change. We've already agreed on all of this. We've literally already planned the new earth.
mm. Yeah, totally. And like Kelly said, we have already changed stuff. We are changing it and creating it right now. And so, understand that when you're going down these rabbit holes, or you're, watching stuff, learning new information, that's you creating stuff, which is why I always say make sure you're not focusing on
Mostly by
negative.
contrast.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. A lot of
But
people sort
Campbell,
of
it's
think that,
mostly by contrast.
yeah,
It's
yeah,
mostly by contrast. So when you do see the negative, it automatically creates a contrasting rocket desire in you. So
yeah, of
you
what you
shan't
do want.
hide from the negative. You shan't. Yeah,
Mm,
exactly,
yeah,
exactly. And and I think all of those who have not agreed. So the war is on who has the biggest dream. And hands down, we've
yes,
won. Hands
yes.
fucking down, because look what's happening. Look at the evidence around you. The false idols are falling. They're using crazy tactics. They are using crazy tactics now that we can all see through. So, a hurricane, we know if it's not if it's a hurricane or not a hurricane. We see through it all so quickly, so quickly, so quickly. Literally, you can see whose dream has won. And
Yeah.
it's our dream, and it's the bigger dream, and it's going to bring forth an apocalyptic event to bring forth our reality. And everyone who hasn't agreed to that dream through their own rockets of desire will probably be unlived.
Yeah, yeah. I don't think they'll be going to where we're going, right? Because their dream is different, but so which is their reality.
Yep.
And this is the thing, when
Yep.
we look at all this stuff, it's not like a lot of people still look at things like, the whole diddler thing. Oh, it's a psyop. It's being put out by these people. That's taking your power away. If you understand that it's got nothing to do with that, it's got to do with what you believe is real, and rockets of desire, what you want to come real. That's so much more powerful than oh my God, they're manipulating. Oh my God, it's a psyop. Because then what are you creating? You're creating a bunch of psyops, right? So understand that this, we have done
Exactly.
this. We've done it already. And with your thoughts and beliefs,
Yep.
that's where the power is. That's where the power is. Start saying
Yep.
so be it after that, right? And this is
Yeah.
the
Fucking oath.
control system falling away, is we're starting to see it, but we've got to understand that we're making that. It's us. It's not them, the they them's doing all this stuff and still
And
controlling us. It's us destroying their control system. And the more we understand that, the faster
it's
this goes.
retroactive.
And it's retroactive, man. It's all yeah, exactly. We get to clean up their
So
shenanigans,
from
right?
that
Everything they've
logic,
done can be fixed
yeah, I
from that
mean,
perspective.
yep. Yep. And from that perspective, when you watch the whole Diddy thing, like from that perspective, you just say, fucking excellent. We did that.
Yes.
And it's going to continue and it's all going to be exposed. And I can't wait. And I'm so excited to have it exposed and about time. And great, let's go. Fantastic evidence to me that our desire for this to be cleaned up is happening.
Mm.
Celebrate it. Celebrate all the disclosure. Celebrate the apocalypse we're about to go in because like we have brought it to pass. We're responsible. And on that note, for the last couple of years, like, gosh, didn't we all love the asses off the idea of the white hats? Which means from this conversation, the white hats are literally a thing and they are playing a role and a part in this because we put so much love
Created
and
that.
joy. We all went, when the right hat thing's coming, yep, and all the Q-tips, we were just like, fucking excellent. This is finally, yay, it's happening. Like we positively what's the word, supported that concept, so
Yeah.
that concept as well has got to come to pass.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. And that was one of the big groundswells, right? Back in 2020, that got a much bigger demographic of people involved in thinking this way. It was the white hats. And so, this whole conversation of, oh, well, it's all probably crap and all this, it's not actually helping. And this is what we're trying to say. It's what we believe. If we believe, yeah, they're coming to save us, awesome, they're on our side, we're not here alone, we're not just being manipulated, then we create that because we retroactively change the past, which means that suddenly they've always been there, right? Because we've just changed the past. And so in
Which
our
is
future, it's different.
Which is inevitable because actually, when you come across this information in your current moment and you organically and naturally shoot off your expression of that, whether it's a contrast desire or whether it's an affirming desire, but you shoot it off. You can't even overthink it. It just happens regardless and naturally. And you all did that. You all went through it. You all voted on the white hats. You did. You did. When they first emerged, you all cast your vote. And so they are characters in this story. You all cast your vote on Trump, and he is a character in this story. You all did that without being manipulated. You just instantly had a frequency response to the concept and to the idea. And you knew that it could fit into this version of reality that would be good and powerful, and you were choosing. So you instantly supported it. And it's already done, which means
Mm.
it's re-emerging. It's going to happen. Like it's here. It's
And
already done.
it's just a totally different way to look at it, right? It's what we believe that comes to be. It's not reality. The reality is just
Yep.
their moral code or lack of moral code, right, being imposed on the outer realm. But if we understand that, if we believe Trump's a good guy and he's going to come and he's going to change things and save a lot of people and all this stuff, that's what will happen. If you think, oh, he's probably a psyop, he's probably this, he's probably that, that's what will happen. Like, we're literally bringing this stuff into so much more. It's much more important to believe what you believe, to decide what you believe, and to manifest that, rather than to sort of like look at all the bad. Because one thing that is guaranteed is whenever we have a different thought, the system's going to pop up and go, that's wrong. Come back here. Come back and believe like us. Look at this. He's a shield. This was fake. This is fake. Look at he's connected here and here. And it'll give you as much evidence as you need to let go of your moral beliefs. But this is the game. We've got to
Yeah.
know who we are, what our
Yeah.
beliefs are, and stick to that without being swayed. And once, if you don't know who you are, you can't do that. But once you know who you are and what you stand for, then you can do that. And once you understand how reality is created, it's a torus, right? The now is in the middle, the past and the future are both being created by what we do now.
Running through you.
Yeah.
Running through you. That's right. Simultaneously, at the same time, running through you, very much alive, like a live motor code. The past is alive, the future is alive, the now is alive. It's all alive. It's all your current experience. It's all your current experience. And
Yeah.
the thing with, and I think the subtlety of manifestation, Campbell, where usually I have a gripe with you about this focus on what you want, and usually, and I'm never able to express it exactly, but I think subtly it comes down to truly understanding that the majority of what you bring forward into reality is already been created when you first came upon it and naturally set out a rocket of desire for or against it. Like the contrasting element of your original moment experience with it is actually the true manifestation. And then after that, you're really trying to force yourself. You're really trying to force yourself to think that way, but quite effortlessly. The ease of frequency and energy is that it happens
Mm.
immediately, straight away. But as we go through this, like trying to negotiate this, like as so far, let's go back 5 years, this you know authoritarian parasitic realm that we were living in, but while we were trying to negotiate that and desiring something opposite to that, that made manifestation very hard work,
Mm.
very clumsy work. But now, on the topics of the earth we want to live in, the realm we want, this sort of reality we want to experience, this is like boom, to the point where we're about to enter an apocalypse, thanks to us, to bring it all down and reconfigure it. Like you can feel that, like the pulse from it. And another Abraham technique, gosh, I haven't got Abraham at the for ages, but another amazing technique she used to teach was that the rockets of desire are literally, if you look at a rocket ship and how it's got like 5 parts to it, and it starts using the push of that engine, that combustion, that sort of fire, it shoves it up. Well, it doesn't. It's just, I'm not talking from our
This
version
is,
of
yeah,
reality. I'm talking from the metaphor that Abraham.
exactly. Yeah. We're not
And
saying
yeah, just to be
spaceships.
clear. And also, I would like to say that Esther Hicks also, she supported the jab. So, I mean, I'm not like, but what I'm saying is that from this analogy, you send off this first rocket of desire, this first pulse, and then it moves you forward, and then it cruises for a bit. And then another rocket of desire will come into your reality that forms a contrast, and it'll shoot off the next bit. And it does this like 4 or 5 times until eventually the magnetic pull of what you desire and it's coming about is so strong that you just land. The magnetic energy just pulls you into your reality. And it can take 5 pulses, 5 pushes. And it's interesting because when we talk about resets, like over and over and over again, I'll hear the word, well, we've got 5 resets coming up, and we're in stage 1 or in stage 2 or in stage 3, just like the analogy of the rocket ship, until it's inevitable and it is done. And
Mm.
that's what to me is happening on this realm right now.
Bloody oath. All right.
Ugh.
So, um, time is retroactive, guys. You are the creator and you've created everything that's going on, and it's all your fault. So keep going. And I think that's so, make it so, or so be it. It's like Star Trek,
So be
make
it.
it so. When you say something like that's a
Yeah.
spell, right? So be it. Make it true. And when you've got your morals, then you can stay on that course of your rockets of desires, right? Because when your first rocket goes off, creates a big flash, man. The powers that be will see that, and they will move in, and they'll be like, "Nah, come over here, come over here." And I come, oh, look at this, look at this. So once we understand that that's
Yep.
insignificant, what is much, much more powerful is what we believe and who we are. And if we stay on course and we can deflect all this stuff
Yep.
and not even give it our attention, then we go so much faster and create so much quicker.
If you think about it, when we started to like debunk what was, And for me, it was way back. And I think probably the first action I took was to stop using fluorinated toothpaste, like way back 25 years
Oh yeah,
ago.
man.
And then suddenly I was able to buy fluoride-free toothpaste in the supermarket. Like it just appeared into reality.
Yeah,
And
man.
then,
Greens.
like we sort of like stopped. Yep. And I stopped watching news and stuff, and then suddenly I could buy DVDs that people had made, documentaries or interviews on the topics I was interested in. Suddenly like we started to get really conscious of the poison in our food, and suddenly you can buy organics. Like it's quite amazing how through our lifetime, this lifetime, as we've shifted our perception, things have become available, which means all the things that you have ever desired have already been generated and created and totally available to you right now. You can go and purchase these things right now. I mean, we're talking about healing modalities. Well, if you want to work with the healing modalities I see in our future, then you would go and buy a sort of frequency machine, would you not? Like they're already available right now. You know, and it's interesting, Campbell, because when we look at the Tartarian realm, one of the most beautiful things that happened, and I'd like to end on this because this is a part of when we very first started doing Tartaria. Not only did we like talk about how marvelous it was that it was tangible, we also talked about how important the imagination and creativity was. And if you look at the last 5 years through the Tartarian lens, it has been forerunners and highly creative, highly imaginative minds that have been able to go in, scrape past the blinders, and actually start to see things in a totally different way. It took pure human creativity.
Yeah.
And that's like call out to Martin Leckie, because that's
That's
one
the
thing I
secret of
fucking loved
Martin.
about
Yes.
Martin was that
Hey, Martin. Yeah, for
I
sure.
just loved how imaginative his mind was, right? How creative, how
And
he would
still
just,
is.
and like that characteristic, oh, 100%. And that characteristic, it just like embodies the last 5 years of the recategorizing and re-coordinating of history.
It's such a cool proof that all this information that we've got in Tartaria has started off as an imagining. Maybe this happened, maybe that, and then the
Yep.
proof has come. It's a completely different
Yep.
way than what we're taught. We're taught,
Yep.
no, you've got to go through the facts and the books and then prove it from our past, right? Which doesn't exist. It's not a static thing. So yeah, everything in this research has come off as, like people just using creativity. How could this work? What is this? Blah, blah, blah.
Yep.
The whole free energy thing. And
Yep.
now you look around, there's people coming out with free energy devices. We have all this stuff everywhere, the healing modalities,
Yep.
all this stuff. It's there. So this is, this is why our focus matters so much is you can run around going, oh my God, they're poisoning all the food. Look at what they're doing in the supermarket. It's all product, it's going to kill us all. But you can also just focus on, wow, we've got all the best food we want. It's right there. We don't have to go to supermarkets. We've got farmers markets. We've got organics. We've got regenerative. We've got all this stuff. We've got all the answers. And if we focus on that, then we make that bigger. If we focus on the problem, we make that bigger. So this is the thing. We've created this. So let's
Yep.
start enjoying it and going, look what we did. Don't worry about the other stuff. If people want to go to supermarkets, that's their choice. But we don't have to because we've already created the
Absolutely.
solution within our creativity that creates the solution.
Yeah, and just know everyone that it wasn't until Tartaria when it started to get crazy imaginative. When it started, I mean, you had to decide if mountains were actually giant tree trunks. Like we had to, like it got super creative in there and super imaginative. And now look what's happened. We've brought about an apocalypse. So, I just want to say a testament to the power of
Yeah.
shared creativity.
Well
Look what
done,
we can actually
us.
do. We can actually just like blow up the world and start again.
Yeah, man. So this is the thing, man. We're
All right.
doing it. We're all
I
powerful. Let's keep
don't.
going. Bring on the apocalypse, which is the unveiling.
All right, everyone.
Yes, we have
Okay,
rambled.
so I hope you enjoyed that. Yes, and on so we start the when this show airs. Actually, Campbell, how are you going to do this? Because when this show airs, we're going to be on the fast. But I want you to promote the fast. You're going to have to air this tonight.
Maybe I'll air it tonight. What are we? Wednesday? Yeah, I'll get it up and put the whole thing up
Yep,
tonight.
I think so. We just have to do it because we're trying to like get as many people to join us for this crazy fast plan of ours. The fastening. It's called the fastening, the quickening. Every time you
Fascinating.
do a water fast, by the way, it is a quickening. It's a
It is a
quickening in
quickening.
your reality. Just know that.
Once you
Fucking
stop,
shit
everything
happens
starts
really
going
quickly when you've done
crazy.
something that, yep.
Yeah, man.
Yep, it's just true. It's fast. It's fast. You're fasting. You're entering a quickening. So just know that.
Well, it's
All right,
called a
excellent.
fast.
Well, fantastic. All right, everyone. Well, that was fun conversation. I hope you got a lot out of that. Lots to chew on there, and ultimately extremely empowering and completely, yeah.
I think it's
What
good. I
would be
think it's
my
a good
word?
concept. Let us know what you think. Leave us a comment. Share this video
Yep.
around. You'll find the link for the fast in the description as well. And yeah, let us know what you think. Are you going to write your moral code? What are some of your morals? What have you changed in reality? Let us know.
Yep. All right, everyone. Have a wonderful, beautiful, perfect week, and we will see you next week on Tartaria, Australia.
Yes, or on Friday night if you're doing the fast. Stay awesome.
Oh, yes, or on Friday night. See you guys. Bye.